On several occasions throughout my life, I've felt that there is a knowledge, meaning, and wisdom surrounding me, all of which are far greater than I could ever explain. This knowledge and my yearning to touch what lies beyond sent me on a journey. I met fascinating people from all around the world, people who told me about their own journeys to find the source of their strength, and through their strength, how to find our own. At times, I find myself asking the question, is this all there is? Is there no way to live a more meaningful and satisfying life? When this numbing thought expresses itself loudly enough, I know it's not going to disappear unless I follow its call.
To make a change in one's life, the most important thing is to know what you have. When you want to make a change, it is doing different from what you are doing now.
Avi Abadi, today a businessman and a tutor at Bashara, Scotland, a school for the study of Sufism, heard his own inner voice for the first time whilst traveling after his service in the military.
I was serving in the military as an officer, and I left the army, and I came to think about what I was going to do next here in England on holiday. If you're prepared to say, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want to be, let existence, let what happens show me.
The moment the person has said, I want to change, it happens. The intent is the first thing.
Our difficulties in our lives, the big breaks, the big crises, are the times where we find ourselves that we can't go in autopilot. And then, suddenly, a lot of things that were not possible before become meaningful. Particularly since what we manage to do consciously is no longer working, so we have to surrender to draw possibilities from other people, from our unconscious, and maybe from something bigger.
Something will happen in their lives that will force them to follow a direction. So they'll come either to find a master, a guru, a teacher, somebody who will help them along the way. They will find a healer, somebody who will give them the first step up the ladder.
For a long time, Dr. Ariel Warner searched for a way to connect with her inner power, and whether by chance or not, she wound up participating in the course, The Art of Living.
I remember coming in and seeing this woman sitting there on the couch, and I had a deep sense that I came home. It was very intense for me, very, very intense. I had pain in my body, and I wanted to give up. I wanted to open my eyes and give up, and I remember getting a voice inside, or some intuition telling me, this is your chance to get rid of your blockage. And if you're not doing it now, God help you. I really felt that.
Through my encounters with people, my sense that what we don't know exceeds the things that we do know was reinforced time and again. I came to understand that we need a new way of looking at the world around us and our inner life in order to make the leap into the unknown.
How you practice it, you have to follow what is given inside you. And a part of this process is to learn that guidance is given to us and to recognize it. It's always given to us. It's a question of our eyes opening to seeing it in every walk of our lives.
You call God reality. You call that which you can't explain doesn't exist. You can call it anything, but it doesn't make any difference. You're always looking at the same point.
When we become rigid, we can't change. And one of the things that help us change is when there is a break in the rigidity. When somebody comes with a nervous breakdown or a pain or an ache, it means that what they've done and that was successful is no longer successful for them, which is a great opportunity to open to possibilities and flexibilities that were not there before. So one of my teachers says that a heart that doesn't bleed can't heal. And sometimes it means that we need to pinch a heart a little bit to draw a drop of blood so that something can grow beyond that.
There is a very simple method, and if they will just stop, be present to each and every moment and recognize that those emotions that are coming, those situations that are showing up in their life are actually gifts that they can use to turn their life around by going right into the root core of it. That's the real gift.
Once you manage from spiritual perspective, you see a much larger picture. And you understand that there are many rules in this world that you cannot see and you don't know them, and things are not linear. Sometimes you are sure that something was a huge disaster, then you realize it was the best thing that happened to you.
And each and every moment is that opportunity for them to stop and turn things around and go inside and be still and really recognize who they are.
My name is Peter Young, and I had a wake-up call in the form of a car accident. At the time of flying through the air, which probably only took 2 or 3 seconds, the time opened up and I saw things from another perspective. And while I was recovering from the car accident, that gave me a lot of time to reflect on what I was doing with my life. I realized that I'd been asleep for something like 14 years, and that I'd been seeing things in black and white, and that actually the world was in color.
This wake-up call may appear in different forms, as a bolt of lightning on a sunny day, a lacking or a loss. At other times, it may appear as a profound knowledge that my journey is to begin, awakening into a confusing and unknown reality which holds a promise for the future. David Kowitz was a veterinarian who built a successful clinic and a loving family, a seemingly perfect life.
I was very well known locally, and I was successful and all of that, but at the end of my career, I was petrified. There was constant anxiety in my life, whether or not I could retire, whether or not there'd be enough to support my family. That kind of tension was affecting me tremendously.
One day, out of the blue, he got the news that he had a brain tumor.
That was the start of the path towards, well, what do I do now? What have I done? What have I done to contribute to the development of cancer in my own body?
We can see this, how people's personality, lifestyle, all these things create an effect which can then activate a gene. In other words, the gene doesn't decide what happens to you, but the chemistry that can activate the gene is what decides what happens. If you said to a patient, okay, you're a case of self-induced healing, what have you done? We'd learn from the patients. Doctors will say, I can't accept that. But we have the pathology, we have the report, why can't you accept it? And that's why I get upset with so-called medical education. It isn't an education, it's a lot of information. And today, it's getting worse and worse. It's hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, write a prescription. Here's a pill, goodbye. Well, how about what's going on in your life?
We can no longer maintain ourselves in a state of victimhood. People need to release the concept of becoming a victim, of being in the hands of some mighty force that coordinates them as if they were little puppets or little marionettes.
One of the significant discoveries in the process is understanding that our reality is affected by our inner world. In many ways, we are co-creators of our world.
Around the world, where people are unhappy, it's because they have chosen to be unhappy. It's because they want to put the responsibility on another to change their lives. Living in the same environment, with the same people, doing the same thing. If you can nurture yourself, simply think differently, the world changes. The world changes.
Humans tend to forget that we are spiritual beings in a physical experience. We always think that we are human beings having a spiritual experience, but it's the other way around. We are spiritual beings. We are divine creatures that chose to come anchor God's energy in the physical embodiment.
The self, therefore, like everything else in the universe, is made up of what we see and what we don't see, and what can begin to change by accepting the hidden as existing.
It's quite scary for some people because all security is going out the window. However, to want life to be predictable and secure is crazy because life is insecure and unpredictable.
Human beings are afraid to face the unknown. And when we're facing the unknown, that's a situation that we don't know something. So we try to fix the unknown. And this kind of knowledge is fixing and limiting ourselves. I always wanted to be a lawyer, and I became a lawyer, and I retired as a lawyer, and I died. Rather than having a premeditated line that I have a goal and that's where I'm going. You don't leave possibilities to happen. This kind of knowing is very, very limiting. We say, I don't know. Let the circumstance, let the situation show me what is next to me and trust in it.
I talk about going into the underworld, down in the hole, into the underworld that we're so frightened to go into because we don't know how to handle it. No one has told us how to handle it, and so we're frightened. And so to go down there into that underworld that overrides everything that is beautiful when we're frightened, and to question those thoughts until finally you've dealt with the underworld and there's nothing to override love.
It's all about energy. Then we start to be reinvented and recycled and re-energized, and we just feel better. And so it is a wise thing to become very comfortable with this.
Fear of the unknown might bring us to hold on to material objects which sustain an illusion that we have control over our future. But in most cases, this illusion distances us from our inner source of powers which contain the answers we seek.
What we know from plenty of research today is that material affluence is a very poor predictor of well-being. Extra money makes very little difference, and yet people spend most of their time, most of their lives chasing that next promotion, chasing that extra payment, as if that would make them happier.
To many of us, Paul's story of professional success seems to embody the height of all ambitions on the path to happiness.
I was born here in London. My first job was to follow my father into the gas industry, into engineering. I had a really nice posh house in the middle of a beautiful place in Bristol, a partner, the best job. All my friends said I had the best job. I could only think in the ways of a big corporate empire, which was, what can I get out of this thing today? What's in it for me?
What I have seen during all my professional life is that there are great managers doing great things, but always it's with stress. And even they become sick after finishing a project. And there wasn't enough joy. It's like hard work.
I remember having a day sitting on my sofa, which cost me £5,000, listening to my £3,000 hi-fi. And I had this voice that said, this isn't it.
We're all asking the question all the time. Who am I? Is this all there is? I'm bored. Something. There's always this existential dissatisfaction that goes on. It's the nature of humans to ask these questions. People I know, I have friends who are multimillionaires who are dissatisfied with life. There's no pleasure. It's just having. There's no being to it.
To come from a world where we are materialistic and, you know, grabbing, aggressive, possessive, and to come to a place where we talk of universal love and, you know, sharing with not only family but outsiders is a big, like a quantum leap for most of us.
Spirituality has got nothing to do with the materialistic world. It's when you can leave it behind and move on. And that's where you find a peace which is so intense. It has to be experienced.
I left the company, I left my relationship, I sold my property and started trying to work out what it was I was going to do with my life. And that was horrific because I realized I didn't really know anything about myself.
We need to be more in silence, hearing the guidance of the heart, not so connected to material elements, not so connected to our little egos. And we need to really practice letting go of it more and more, and to understand that we will always be protected. We are loved, always loved.
Our journey begins the moment we are born. But once we awaken, we realize that we must learn to accept and forgive ourselves, allowing us to accept and forgive those around us.
What we're missing are the new thoughts, the new one, the creative ones that are the opposite of war, pure creativity. When we're frightened and we're believing these fearful thoughts, all our decisions come out of fear.
You don't have to go anywhere to get the energy. What you have to do is remove the dust, remove the doubt, remove the anger, okay? Sit in a place, think of what you have, know what you have, and you'll find you have all the tools, all the energy to go wherever you want. You cannot move on another person's dreams. You have to make your own dreams a reality.
There are treasures of happiness inside us and all around us. The challenge is to appreciate them. When I first taught positive psychology, I was a resident tutor in one of the dorms. And I remember having lunch one day, and a student, his name is Matt, came to me and said, "May I join you for lunch?" And I said, "Sure." So he sat down next to me, and then he said to me, "Tal, you know, I hear you're teaching a class on happiness." And I said, "Yes, that's right." And he said, "You know, my roommates are taking your class." And he said, "Tal, you've got to be careful now." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because if I see you unhappy, I'll tell them." Now, I actually used that as a teaching opportunity the next day in class, and I told my students that the last thing in the world I want them to think is that I, as the teacher of the happiness course, experience a constant high, or that they, by the end of the semester or year, will experience a constant high. There are two kinds of people who don't experience painful emotions, such as anger or disappointment or envy. The first kind are the psychopaths. By definition, these people don't experience painful emotions. The second type of people who don't experience these emotions are
Dead people, exactly. So, you know, if you experience these emotions, it's actually a good sign.
Today I'm happier than I was 15 years ago when I basically embarked on this journey. And 15 years from now, I certainly hope to be happier than I am today. Happiness is not a binary either or. Today I'm unhappy, tomorrow I am happy. It's rather on a continuum. It's a journey, it's a lifelong journey, a journey that ends when life ends.
Most of us are brought up literally with guilt, shame, and blame. So if your parents say to you, you're a failure, you embarrass us, we're only going to dress you in dark colors so nobody will notice you. You know, these people are a mess because they're always hearing those words. So their whole life, they're always failures. If they get sick, I shouldn't try to get better because then I'll fail again, I'll just go home and die. I will say to people, if you lose your car keys, does God want you to walk home? They look at you and say, no, I've looked for my car keys. Fine. Then if you lose your health, go look for it.
The knowledge that she had only 6 months to live presented Susan with a choice to either accept her death sentence or set out on a new path.
I'm 47 years old, and 7 years ago, I was told I had 6 months to live. I was diagnosed with a really rare form of leukemia. They didn't think there was any hope for me. And when I got to Bernie, one of the first things he ever said to me was, I can tell you're a survivor. It was huge for me to have someone say that to me, like, you're gonna survive. Nobody dared to say that to me because people are afraid to give you hope.
You know, it's about helping them live. And the thing that I feel is that all I can do is coach people. In other words, when people give me credit, say, oh, you saved my life, I say, I can't. Only you can save your life.
It doesn't need knowledge, it needs faith. It doesn't need for another one to do something, it's for you to do it yourself.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter because of it. I have a different purpose in my life. I always appreciated my life before, but now I think this has all happened to me for a reason, and I feel very healed, even though I still have cancer. I'm healed.
The deeper I allow the process to take me, the more something inside me expands. The hidden powers within me begin to surface. The idea that there is infinite potential excites me and challenges me to continue on this daily journey, the journey of life.
Don't ever compromise the search for meaning, because dying with a nice house and a mortgage doing the work that you hate doing is worse than having lived, you know, a little more stressfully, but finding a place where your heart can sing.
Questions are life. They are the stuff of life. The problem with answers is they are ends, they are conclusions. But the questions are more important because the questions are where the energy is.
This is what I tell people. You're a work in progress. You don't throw the painting out if it doesn't look good. You study it and the person, and you touch it up and fix it. And that's what you do with your life. You don't say, oh, I'm a failure. No, you're a work in progress. And I think that's what we all have to realize. We're like blank canvases, and you spend a lifetime creating your work of art.
Faith that I now have is that faced with a challenge, that I will seek to not suffer, that I know how to get away from suffering.
There is an old saying which says that the seeker of the truth, must be in the world, but not of it. That is, he acts and he lives in the world, he has a profession. However, the core, the meaning of his being is not to progress his career and to make more money, per se. The core is the search for truth.
More and more often, I sit back and I close my eyes and I say, thank you. Thank you for what I have.
On my journey, which I have invited you to join, I met some fascinating and brave people. The question regarding different ways of beginning surfaced through all of them, and the answers, as you have witnessed, are incredibly diverse.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. That's kind of the most basic Jewish mantra that you can get to. And how I translate that is hear or listen to the unity within things. Hear the oneness. Each person is a living God. We are all sacred beings who are here to fulfill a destiny. And we are here to fulfill the destiny of carrying the light and anchoring this light for all of us. It is not done individually. There is nothing that happens here individually.
This has been the good news out of this particular shattering, has been an absolute in-your-face, totally practical, get down to earth, right where it hits you in your own gut, little teaching. We are one.
Everything you do here is interacting with other people. Everything you experience is co-created with others. When you meet a person and you have an experience, this was induced by your common energies, and it is affecting so many other levels.
This is beyond Buddhism now. This is like right in the beat of now. This is right in the beat of the heart of the world.
The acts of goodness, acts of giving, acts of kindness, simple acts of kindness will just add up. Will add up, and humanity will come to its purpose or its fruition.
I found many similarities between them, but most of all I was touched by the resonance flowing from their open hearts. The discovery and the knowledge that we are all part of something bigger than ourselves, and the ability to appreciate what we have and to open our hearts to ourselves, to others, and to the universe at large.